All right, hello everyone. This is Mike Emerson, Chief Operating Officer with Silvernest. And I'd actually like to start by turning it over to our CEO and co-founder, Wendy Burkhart.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
I feel like I'm on a radio program. Hi, everybody, and Natalie and team, thank you so much for having us today. I am super excited for us to have this conversation with all of you. We've, had varying degrees of introductions and relationships with the Village Network over the past year. I think we've been fortunate enough to establish a wonderful relationship with Natalie, and then also with a variety of the villages around the country. And so I think we're really excited to have the opportunity to meet more folks and introduce those who are not yet familiar with Silvernest to Silvernest and a little bit about our story. So just to give you guys a little bit of background on who in the heck we are, Silvernest was started actually about 2 years ago. We're based here in Denver, Colorado, and we started out in development in March of 2015, and we actually launched the very first version of the product in October of that same year. So we've been up and running in the market for about a little over 18 months, and we've learned a heck of a lot in the first year and a half worth of operations. But a little background on how in the heck the company was started. I was fortunate enough to have an early co-founder who actually was in the aging space and had been developing unique housing properties for folks. And what they were doing was actually going into neighborhoods and residential communities where people had lived all of their lives, and they were outfitting single-family homes to neighborhoods because they understood that what was critically important was having a sense of community and a sense that they were staying in the community in which they had lived their life. Through that experience, it really brought up the question of, well, how can we help more people stay in community? How can we help more people stay in the homes that they really want to stay in? And I personally had a technology background, and when Chuck brought the idea to me, I had just lost my father. And my mother was actually living in Atlanta, on the other side of the country from me here in Denver. And she had never lived alone in her entire life. And so, of course, as her adult daughter, I was terribly concerned about, what her experience was going to be. And she actually had a roommate come and live with her for about 6 months after my father passed away. And the experience was amazingly positive. And I think when Chuck described kind of the idea of home sharing and establishing an offering that could make it very easy for people to think about home sharing, it really resonated with me because of that personal experience. So based on my technology background, we set out trying to design a service that really could be as seamless as possible to help the aging population, or in particular people that are over 50, which I'm one of. So I'll take that classification for myself. But really the next generation of roommates, knowing that many people when they're younger have had a roommate. When you're in your 20s, you've had a roommate, and that when you make that decision, it's a very different decision than it will be when you are 50 plus and you are set in your ways and you have a lot of requirements, I guess I would say, to living with somebody. So in many ways, we used my mother as the case model to say, how could I build a system that I would feel comfortable having my mother use? What would we want to have considered, what would be important to her? And then also what would be important to me as her adult daughter, having her go through this experience. How would I know that I would feel comfortable with her finding somebody through the platform? So that's just a little bit of history of how we came to be. We've actually had a crazy, 18 months or so. We have had activity in all 50 states. Mike will tell you a little bit more about the size of our activity, but we've had activity in all 50 states since we've started. We have tremendous press, which has helped us grow pretty quickly and get a lot of exposure. We had the opportunity to go to San Francisco last year and participate in an accelerator that really helped us kind of generate additional awareness. But I think what's been most important for us in this last year and a half is we've really established some amazing relationships with folks like the folks that are in the villages. And really that's what's become most important to us in moving forward is what we know what we know. There's also a lot that we don't know. And as we've worked through the relationships that we've established, we've learned so much, and we continue to iterate the product to make it stronger, to make it better, and to hopefully be able to incorporate many of the features that folks need to feel comfortable using the service. So I will share with you that we're actually just on the verge of launching out a new iteration of the product that comes with a lot of enhancements on the back end. The first stage of that is actually going to go live next week. So you guys are getting a little sneak alert on that, and we're super excited about it because the next iterations of products have been largely built on the feedback that we've received through relationships with the folks that are using the service and through our partners like the team at the villages. So I want to say thank you for that, and I want to, before I turn it over to Mike, just say we're very interested in your feedback. We hope that this will be something that you think is valuable and engaging, and most of all, we really welcome your feedback and contributions as we show you the product, and hopefully you'll be able to help us continue to improve it as we move forward in working with you guys. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Wendy. As we kind of kick off the introduction to Silvernest, just wanted to introduce you just briefly to the folks on the call. You've met Wendy, you're meeting me now, and the third member of our team also on the call is Taylor Bristol. Taylor works every day with our partners to make sure that they're successful with the program, and we're working together to help our communities overall. So when we talk to our homeowners about Silvernest, and we talk to them about the benefits of home sharing, we really focus on three things. The first thing we focus on is the extra income that can be generated. So when a homeowner offers their space, say a spare room for rent, the average rent that they're generating through Silvernest is about $850. So when you take that across the year, that $10,000 of extra income can go a long way for many folks to help them do more of what they want, if that's travel, various hobbies. Sometimes it helps pay bills, etc. So the income is definitely appealing to many of our homeowners. The second thing is added an extra security. So for a lot of folks, just knowing that there's someone else in the home gives them a bit of comfort, just from a general security standpoint, but also if there's ever an event such as a fall or anything unfortunate like that, just knowing that there's someone else around in the home is very comforting in a lot of cases. And the third thing we talk about in terms of benefits is companionship. So we know the impact that isolation has on our aging adults, and the ability for us to pair homeowners with compatible housemates, and we'll talk more about compatibility because that's so critical in everything we do. The idea of bringing people together for that companionship to share life experiences together is also very powerful overall. So let us introduce you to first our homeowners and then our housemates. So please meet Betty. Betty is very representative of our homeowners. So she's in her 60s, she's single, she's recently retired, and she's active. She's out in the community, she likes to do a lot of stuff, and she's very active with what she's involved in. Her income is around $50,000, and she is a homeowner. As she has planned for her retirement, she wishes she'd saved a little bit more. And having that home as her largest asset is an important part of her retirement strategy. Today she can make ends meet, but she wishes she could find a little bit more income to do more of what she wants to do. She likes the idea of not being alone, having someone to share experiences with. and she's a little bit tired of having to do everything around the house. It's her, and she's keeping everything up herself. She's computer friendly, so you know, she is comfortable with computers. She probably has an iPhone, and so she is interacting with technology every day. She's active in her community, sometimes faith-based communities as well, and she's always looking for ways to improve her life. So Betty is very representative of our homeowners. If we look at our housemates are very different, but they also have a few things in common overall. None of them want to live alone. They're looking for an environment where they can share those experiences, and they're looking for something more from the rental experience. So kind of in tandem with that, as opposed to renting an apartment, kind of being alone in an apartment, perhaps a smaller environment that they would like. They're looking for something a little different just in terms of experiences to share and in a different environment overall. They have a strong sense of community, and many of them have limited resources and are therefore looking to rent. So one of the things that we find with our housemates is we are also helping our communities with affordable housing issues that are prevalent across the country, and it only seems like it's getting worse, certainly. So for many of our housemates, the renters, we can provide a great option for them for affordable housing overall. And our housemates cross the full age spectrum. In fact, the average age of our housemate or renter is 40 years old. And that skews a little bit younger, we find, partly because of, we believe, some of the affordable housing issues that we discussed. But also, many of our homeowner and housemate relationships take the form of trading off a little bit of rent from the homeowner standpoint for a little bit of help from a housemate standpoint. So if a housemate is willing to come in and help with a bit of the yard work or do a bit of grocery shopping in exchange for a little bit less rent, many times that's a great arrangement for both parties. And also, we're finding through that the benefits of intergenerational living as well when we get back to kind of the compatibility and the sharing life experiences. So how does Silvernest work? What is our service about? Well, it's very easy for homeowners to sign up for our service as well as housemates. So when they come into our website, folks can sign up with a click, one click if they are on Facebook, to sign up through Facebook. Otherwise, we ask them to provide a password, their email address, and then they tell us if they're looking for a room, so they need a room to rent, or if they have space that they're looking to share. The next step is we have the homeowner build a profile. So we ask them to tell us about themselves. You know, basic information just in terms of age, contact information, gender, but then also importantly, preferences in terms of what they're looking for in a roommate. We know for us to build great matches, we need to bring compatible people together. So we ask the homeowner questions around their lifestyle. We ask them around things such as preferences around smoking, pets. We ask them preferences in terms of gender of a housemate, age of a housemate, etc. So we ask all of those questions up front to make sure that as we're making matches later and we're pairing people together, we're only pairing together the folks that have the highest probability of a great match through compatibility overall. So once the homeowner expresses what they're looking for in that housemate and tells us about their space, then we go through a process of connecting them with matches. So those preference questions we ask to both the homeowner as well as the housemate, and then we go through a matching algorithm to make sure that we're putting people in front of each other that match. That way, a homeowner is not spending a lot of time looking through or evaluating renters that aren't a great fit for them overall. Once a homeowner identifies housemates that are a good potential match, the next step is to communicate, to message back and forth. So all messaging takes place within the Silvernest platform. And that's important because we want to make sure that we can allow both the homeowner and the housemate to remain anonymous in the process for security reasons until they get a little further down the path and decide to perhaps share some contact information and meet. So by messaging through the platform, what we find is generally there'll be a couple of messages back and forth. They'll establish a bit of rapport, get to the point where they decide that perhaps they want to get on a phone call or meet for coffee. And any type of personal information is only shared at the discretion of each individual at the appropriate part in the process. Once the messaging begins between a homeowner and a housemate, we then ask the homeowner to become a member of Silvernest. So membership is a one-time fee of $29.99. And what that allows a homeowner to do is to receive unlimited matches to housemates and unlimited communication on the platform. We find that that messaging process starts for a lot of our homeowners as they go down that path. We find that once they start that messaging process, they're able to find an appropriate housemate within as early as 10 days in many cases. Sometimes it will go into a month and a half or so. We provide the 3 months to make sure that people can move at their own pace and they're comfortable and they don't feel rushed at all as they're working through the process. And that again is a one-time listing fee for the homeowner. Once the messaging begins and a homeowner and a housemate start to establish that rapport, the next step is to request a background check. So it's very simple for a homeowner to request a background check from a potential housemate. And when they make that request, there's no charge for the homeowner. There is a charge for the renter, the housemate, once they agree to that background check, and that fee is $29.99. So to summarize kind of how payment works, the homeowner, one-time fee to list, $29.99, 90 days of service in terms of messaging. That renter, that housemate, does not incur an initial fee to be on the platform, but if a background check is requested, they will pay $29.99 for that background check as kind of their contribution in. And that background check is good for 90 days as well. So let's say a renter comes in and they agree to a background check and it doesn't work out with that homeowner for some reason. It's just not the right match. They have the opportunity to use that background check for 90 days with any other homeowner within the Silvernest system to make sure they're paying just once and they get the benefit of that until they find their match on the other side. So once the background screens are complete and the parties are moving towards a lease, we do our best to facilitate a lease process for the homeowner. We know that for many of our homeowners, they potentially have never been through this type of experience before, and for many of them, they've never leased an apartment or they've never gone through any of that process. So we use a software product that many of you may be familiar with called DocuSign. Essentially, it's an online contracting software, very easy to use. And so what we do is we allow the homeowner to leverage templates we have for leases across all 50 states, as well as the District of Columbia, to create a lease that they can share with their renter. So we start with the template. We have a simple one-page process where the homeowner can enter things such as, you know, the time of the lease, if it's a 6-month lease or a 12-month lease, the rental amount, is there a security deposit, anything else they would want to call out in a lease. And we take that information from that input format and we populate this lease through DocuSign. And then that lease is presented to the renter, who signs electronically and is presented back to the homeowner. So we try to, as we say, do all the heavy lifting of a lease process for those folks, just to make sure it's simple for them to navigate through. And that's the process. It's really that simple to get folks matched, get them checked, and then get them to you know, a lease that both can rely on through the life of the arrangement. Wendy started off by saying that we've had just the good fortune to have some good traction over the past year and a half. You know, we've now had the opportunity to work with over 20,000 homeowners and housemates. We've had the opportunity to work in all 50 states. So we're a national business today, and we're working with folks across the country. And we've had over 16,000 matches where we've been able to say, hey, here's a homeowner and a housemaid, and you guys are very compatible, you know, as they go down this path together. So, so it's been a great last 18 months or so as we've been learning. And as Wendy mentioned, one of the best parts for us has been meeting folks within the community with similar missions that are trying to solve problems across the aging spectrum and figuring out ways that we potentially can work with one another to help make both of our organizations successful overall. And so with that, I just wanted to briefly segue to partnership opportunities. So in the initial email that was sent out from Natalie around Silvernest, there was mention of what we call our affiliate partner program. And I wanted to touch on that briefly, just for the group to really kind of explain what that's about. So the affiliate partner program grew out of all of these great conversations we've had with local organizations that are working with aging populations over the last 18 months or so. And when we would sit down and we would have the opportunity to talk about what we're building and kind of how we're trying to address housing issues and aging, many times it would be a great conversation, and we would get to a point where we would look at each other and say, well, that's great, but how could we work together? Like, how could we kind of help each other and more importantly, help our community? And so we created the affiliate partner program to address that and to really kind of identify how we could work together and build together overall. So the program is very straightforward. We tried to make it simple, just in terms of structure and importantly, execution to get the maximum benefit. First, the affiliate partner program, partnering is all about partnering with Silvernest to refer homeowners that you're working with that are in need of the service. So in many cases, that looks like part of the mission of the local organization is around housing. And there's a certain subset of your community where home sharing could very well be a good option for them as they're evaluating other options. So the affiliate partner program is making it easy for you to be able to forward those people to Silvernest so we can bring them into our process and see if indeed we're a right fit. And once those homeowners are referred to us, if we work with that homeowner, if we end up generating any sales from that partner, the $29.99, excuse me, any sales from that homeowner, we think it's very important to share part of those, part of that revenue back with the organizations that we partnered with. And we do that because that we are helping to fund the good work and the missions of the organizations that are helping sending homeowners our way. So 20% of all funds that are generated by Silvernest through those referrals are returned back to partners. We want to make it easy for our partners to talk about Silvernest and integrate it into the good work they're doing every day. And we do that in a couple ways. We have generated content for affiliate use. So that includes original blog content, original content that we've developed around aging issues in housing, etc. For many of our partners are always looking for new and interesting content to share with their community. And I think we all know how hard it is to create that. So we've gone through that work, and we want to make sure that we make that available to our partners. Social media is another area many of our partners are active in, and they're always looking for interesting things to post. So we've developed sample social media posts for Facebook and Twitter and others, an easy way to kind of get the word out in front of the community, and other tools. So we've developed that content all again to help our partners communicate Silvernest in a way that feels comfortable to them within their community. And finally, we want to find additional ways to give back to our community at large. So through this program, for every 10 new homeowners that sign up for our service through our partnerships, we're donating a free list of nonprofits focused on aging issues to help them and help their community. In terms of the program, just how we administrate it, we have set up a secure web portal which allows us to track all activity. So this is something that every partner has with a secure login, password, etc. At any given time, you can go into the portal, you can see what traffic looks like in terms of opportunities generated, folks that have been forwarded to us, how many folks have paid. So it's a great way just to understand the impact that we're making together within the community in terms of helping connect folks with the service that will be valuable to them. We also, through this portal, have all of the content that I just mentioned in terms of blog postings, etc., in a self-serve format. So for many of our partners, they love the fact they can go in, they can browse through content, they can pick and choose what they want. You know, no one is waiting on Silvernest to be able to get what they need. But with that said, we have our team here that's really committed to our partners' success. So that's the good work that Taylor Bristol does, who's on the phone every day, working with partners when they have an idea. So perhaps they want to talk about a certain topic in a newsletter next month, and maybe what they find in our portal doesn't exactly fit. Well, Taylor and I are here to work with you to make sure that we're getting you content and we're helping you in any way we can along those lines overall. So that's just a brief introduction to Silvernest and the Affiliate Partner Program. I've appreciated everybody's attention. Thanks so much. And be happy to take any questions that the group has at this time.
Great, thanks so much, Mike. We have had a couple of questions, but before we start those, just a reminder for those of you that are on the computer, you can type them into the chat pod, or just let us know if you'd like to ask it over the phone, and we can unmute you as well. So we got a few questions from the same person, so I'll just go through them one at a time. First question is, does Silvernest have a method for short-term rentals or only long-term?
Yeah, thanks for that question. Really appreciate it. You know, we're a longer-term rental solution for our customers, and longer-term in our mind is an average right now of about 6 months. So that's the average kind of lease term that we have. We find it skewing a little bit longer. A lot of our leases are coming in at 1 year now. And really, we're about trying to bring people together that are compatible, that are looking for, a housemate situation. So I would call that longer term in our mind a little bit less longer term than say a co-housing model, which may look at years as a goal, but certainly much different than say a short-term situation, which might be something a little closer to an Airbnb, if that makes sense.
All right, thank you. Next question.
Sure.
Do you have an option for a lease as a home share agreement in lieu of a rental agreement?
Our lease, yeah, that's a great question. Thank you. Our lease is actually designed for home sharing, meaning, our lease is not what you would see in a typical tenant-landlord commercial leasing arrangement, because this is about home sharing. So we've worked with a legal group to really define the difference there, because there are differences. And so our lease is very friendly to both parties, just in terms of once you're in a lease, there's a 30-day out period. So for instance, if a situation isn't working out the way you hoped it would, either party can give a bit of notice. So you're not locked into, say, a 12-month period of time, et cetera. And there are some other protections to make sure that if the relationship isn't working out, a homeowner isn't in a position where they need to commit to things that you would find in a commercial lease if they were a landlord overall. So our lease is different for those reasons, because home sharing is different. And I guess I would ask if I've answered the question sufficiently. Does that make sense? Okay,
thanks. Yeah, we'll give a second for them to respond back to that.
Okay, thank you.
But we'll go on to the next question for now. Do you have resources available to owners regarding taxes on income from rentals?
So we do not as Silvernest have resources available to advise on tax issues, nor do we have resources on staff to advise on legal issues. Really, at our core, what we're trying to build is a great matching platform. So we're trying to bring people together that are of the same mind in terms of what they're looking for from a living experience. We're trying to match people that are compatible, and then we're trying to bring the resources around it to make it as easy as possible for people to get into that relationship in a secure way. But at that point, we really don't have any jurisdiction from a legal standpoint, because we're not holding a lease, we're just facilitating the creation of one. And in terms of the tax implications of this additional revenue, really that's going to vary by homeowner based on a number of factors in their personal life and how they manage their finances. So a little bit of theory there from our standpoint, just in terms of where we are trying to contribute. But the direct question, or the direct answer to that question, is no, we do not have tax advisory resources on staff to help individuals through that part of the conversation.
Okay, great, thank you. And we did hear back from
Sure.
the last question, and the response was yes, the explanation about the lease made sense. All right.
Okay, thank you.
So the next question is, what background checks are offered?
Yeah, thank you. Great question. We check on several different things. The first is a national criminal check. The second is a county criminal check. So we do take it local. We pull up everything, every misdemeanor to felony. So we're catching everything basically that comes through from a criminal standpoint. We have national terror watch list checks as well. We have sex offender registry checks. And then we are verifying identification through social security number and checks in that nature. And then finally, we are doing a prior eviction history check. So across those three, we're trying to basically figure out through the eviction if there's any history perhaps of a default in a rental situation, which would be relevant. to an owner. We're also then trying to find, we're trying to make sure that if there's any type of criminal activity in their past, that homeowner understands what that is, so they can make a decision on if they want to move forward.
Okay, great, thank you.
Sure.
All right, and another question, are there any organizations that are not eligible to be an affiliate partner?
That's a great question, thank you. Right now, we are taking a curated approach to our affiliates, if I can state it that way, meaning we're reaching out to folks that we believe we have high compatibility with in terms of mission overall. And so those are the folks that we're approaching, and why we very much appreciate the opportunity to talk with the villages and your support with this platform for us to discuss. So this is an open program. Anyone could contact us, and anyone could say, hey, I'd love to be an affiliate, and that has happened. And then we take a hard look at it to make sure that we're aligned with the organization. We understand how they will be representing it to their community, and we're comfortable with it. So there are no broad disqualifiers, if you will, although I could probably come up with a few. but the way that we're taking the program out, it's more about us approaching partners that we think would be great to work with, and we're very complimentary with. And just building the partnerships that way.
Okay, thanks. And we have a similar question, kind of along those lines. What's to keep anyone, not necessarily a village member, but from signing up for Silvernest independently and then therefore bypassing the partnership relationship?
So if an organization signed up for Silvernest and represented themselves as a homeowner, I think maybe if I can try to address it in a couple ways. With our partnership program, we approve all partners before they are partners, so that's the first thing. So if anyone finds us on the internet and they say, hey, this is a great program, and they apply to us, one, we're looking at every one of those, and yes, we have said no to some potential partners that have said, we'd love to work with you. They just weren't the right fit. If someone wanted to just work with Silvernest but kind of bypass the partner relationship, I'm not exactly sure how that would look. We would be very happy to work with organizations in a variety of ways. We just see the partnership program as one where we can actually add value back to the organizations we're working with. So maybe I could ask for a little bit more clarification if I'm not answering this question correctly.
So we did get a little clarification, not organizations, but an individual. So I think maybe what the question is referring to is, you know, how do we get people more to click on the affiliate link instead of just going around and, you know, signing up for Silvernest, therefore not necessarily giving the credit back to that organization that had originally made the referral?
Thank you so much for that clarification. I get it now. So when we sign up an affiliate, the first thing we do is there's a very short, and short is, you know, 10 minutes information page that we ask people to fill out online, and it's just contact information, it's websites, it's you know, all of those good things. Once we do that, we create what we call an affiliate link, and that is a unique link for the organization that is used in all communication by that organization. And so therefore, let's take an example. Let's say within your village website, you are putting, you are talking about Silvernest, and then there's a graphic of Silvernest, like a Silvernest logo. And if somebody clicks on that Silvernest logo, that traffic will go back to the Silvernest website, but it'll go back on the unique link for every partner. So therefore, we can track that customer from the first time they come into our website until they move all the way through the process, hopefully through a match at the end. And so So that's how we handle that. So Taylor spends time with all of our partners through our initial setup process. So once we get going, to say, great, let's get you onboarded. Let's understand how you want to use, how you want to talk about Silvernest. And then we'll make sure that that unique code is embedded if it's on a website. Let's say you have a newsletter and you want to put, a Silvernest link in the newsletter. We'll make sure we get embedded there. Many organizations, it's pretty straightforward in terms of how to do that. But if your technical resources are not as robust within the organization, Taylor and I are very happy to help you work through it. So that's how we do that. Now, is there the off chance that someone could hear about Silvernest through some of your communication and then just type in Silvernest directly? I think there is that possibility. But what we find is for many of our partners, when they're engaging their community and they're putting it in front of them in that way, once they come in, the first time they come in, we more or less kind of tag them as coming in through a partner, and that's how we can track it.
Okay, thanks, Mike. I think there's still a little bit of confusion, but I'm not really sure where that might be. So maybe we can just hold this one till the end, and maybe it needs a private conversation would be more helpful there. So there's a few other questions. Let's go on to those, and then we can get back to that one if we have time left. And she did say that she'll check.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So next question, does Silvernest collect the rent or does the homeowner?
So thank you for that question. The homeowner collects the rent directly. One of the things that I didn't show you as we were going through our process is we actually can help facilitate that as well through a bank transfer process. So once a lease is signed into, we have a process where we can facilitate that bank transfer. So a homeowner can go in and say, this is my bank account information. A renter on the other side can identify their bank account information. This is all secure. And then on the first of every month, just like online bill pay for those on the phone that might use it, those funds are transferred from the housemate to the homeowner. So we try to facilitate that part of it because for many of our homeowners, they would rather not walk down the hall and knock on the door and try to collect rent directly. But that relationship is between the renter and the homeowner directly. But again, as part of the approach, we try to facilitate it.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Now, just a comment that if Silvernest could offer the owners at least referrals to information on taxes. So I think just an idea going back to that earlier question. And then we have a question on homeowners insurance. Do you or can you provide owners with referrals to information on the impact of home sharing on their homeowners insurance? Someone says, when I called my home insurance agent to inquire, they were almost ignorant of the concept of home sharing.
Yes. Thank you for both of those points. First, thank you very much for the suggestion around offering referrals on tax help. I agree with you. One of the areas that we are continuing to build out around Silvernest are those other services to help people that are going to have to answer these questions. So it's a great point, and thank you for that. In terms of homeowner insurance, I think that almost fits into a similar space, which is that's the next question. So if you're a homeowner, how do you make sure that you have a proper rider perhaps on your insurance if you're taking in a housemate? There's the other side of that conversation as well. If you're a renter and you're coming into someone's home, the homeowner may very well want that renter to have their own to make sure that they're covered if there's some event that happens within the home. So I think right now we are not providing referrals out to insurance organizations that can provide those services. I will say it's something, insurance specifically is something that we have taken a really hard look at, and I can see us developing into that over the course of the second half of this year. because it is so core to what we're talking about on both sides. So right now we don't have an option to help folks with that conversation. But again, I think it's a great idea, and it falls into the space of the better we get at helping advise people or put them in the right places to have the right conversations, the better. So thank you.
All right, thanks again. All right, we still have a few more questions here. So next one, would a governmental organization such as a senior and disability services be able to become an affiliate?
From our standpoint, absolutely yes. For us, we are looking to partner with organizations that believe we could be one tool in their toolkit, if you will. So absolutely, in terms of us becoming an affiliate or having that organization become an affiliate, us providing content, different types of support, the links for tracking so we can talk about the impact. Absolutely, we would welcome that conversation.
Okay, excellent, thank you. Next question is, may we have a copy of the PowerPoint slides shown today? Would like to present to my village board of directors. So we are recording this and we'll make that available on the website. And Mike, would it be okay if we put up the PowerPoint presentation as well?
Absolutely, and thank you.
Okay, perfect. All right, let's see. Another question, does the partner affiliate benefit from referrals of renters to owners?
Today, as the program is built, we do not have any type of sales share from the housemate, kind of the renter side, for folks that have been referred in. And that's because the kind of initial revenue model that we have is really based on that homeowner, the one that's listing the property overall. As we continue to move forward and we look at other services that we're bringing around this, so when we talk about things such as insurance, is there the opportunity for us to help bring renters, to insurance brokers that can provide a good service to them, and through that process, perhaps there's a bit of revenue generated back into the business. We are very open and would look forward to kind of sharing that on the renter side as well. But today, when we have folks referred in, we have the homeowner and we have the renter. And really the homeowner is the one that's committed when they list their property. And so that's what we've built our revenue share off of.
Okay, great, thank you. And then another question, if the rent is facilitated through Silvernest, does the affiliate make more money off of the transaction?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that question, Natalie?
Yeah, I think maybe it's a little, if the rent is facilitated through Silvernest, does the affiliate make more money off the transaction?
Thank you. Today, as the program is constructed, the answer there is no. And the reason why is we, as Silvernest, are not taking any revenue off of that transaction. So when we bring folks together, if they create a lease, if they use kind of the rent management tools to facilitate the rent payment back and forth, there is a small fee that we take, which basically just covers the administrative banking costs. So if you think of, a 2.5% that you would pay for a credit card transaction, essentially that's what we retain in that transaction, simply to cover our costs to provide it. But we're not creating any additional revenue for folks in the process today. We just want to make it as easy as possible. So for that reason, we're not sharing additional revenue back in the event that folks are entering into a rent transfer agreement.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. And then we just have, that's pretty much it for the questions, but we had a couple more comments. First is that it would be important to encourage all tenants to have rental insurance. And then along those lines, also, it would be helpful to have a list of other things you might need to check on before renting space in your home. This could include tax implications, local ordinances, rental license, inspection fees, so on. Just having prompts like that could be very beneficial to homeowners.
Excellent ideas, and thank you for those. I agree. I think one of the things we've learned on our journey, and as Wendy said as we kicked it off, we are so appreciative of those suggestions, because as we're trying to build our services to facilitate and help people through this journey, we know we have to get better there, and we want to get better there. So we're looking to build out these tools. So again, we very much appreciate your ideas around that, and I think they're great.
Okay, and we have someone that asked if we had time for one more question, which we do.
Okay.
And the question, there's a two-part question. First, how successful are the matches? And second, are there younger people interested as renters?
Yeah, thank you. We find good success with the matches. So it's fun for us to work with folks that have matched initially. So we've had very few cases where we've been involved in any conversation around a match not working out, which has been a lot of fun for us overall. What we find as well is now that we're a year and a half into this, we're starting to get folks that are coming back and relisting their space. And for us, that's a very positive thing. So on one side, you could say, well, if it's 9 months later or a year later and they're coming back, maybe that's not a successful match, but that's not the case from our standpoint. The case in our standpoint, or how we view it, is someone has gone through this matching process, they've signed into a lease, that lease expired, and for whatever reason, they're looking for a new housemate. But the good news is they're coming back to work with us again because they had a good enough experience the first time. So it's been a lot of fun for us to see those matches and how they work. I think in terms of the different ages overall, our average homeowner age is 60 years old, and our average renter age is 40 years old. Now, we don't have any hard age requirements to enter the Silvernest process. The one we have is everyone needs to be 18 years of age or older. They need to be a consenting adult. But so in that way, we're trying to bring people together that understand what we're building here. But the renters do skew a little bit younger overall. And for us, that's exciting as well, because we're finding really high quality renters that are coming into the process that are perhaps, they're mature renters at 40 years old, but they also, are looking for more affordable housing options. And so that helps facilitate some really great conversations around, can someone who perhaps is a little bit younger as someone is aging kind of help out with some stuff around the house. And so that's been a fun part of what we've seen as we've been working with our homeowners and housemates.
All right, great, thanks, Mike. And just one last comment here. Someone said that this is where villages can assist Silvernest, back a little bit to some of the things we were talking about earlier. If you can make the affiliate emails or links customizable, we would list our own local ordinances and links to town hall, code enforcement, etc.
Oh, that's a great idea. Thank you. Thank you, very helpful.
Yes. All right. So we are pretty much out of time, and there aren't any questions left. So we'll go ahead and wrap up. Mike and Taylor and Wendy, thank you so much for being with us today. Mike, I've heard from a couple of people that are interested in following up, so I'll be sure to send some emails connecting folks here. And again, we'll make the PowerPoint available on the website as well as the recording in the next couple of days. So just keep an eye out on that on the webinars page on the website.
Well, Natalie, thanks so much for the opportunity to meet everybody on the phone and the screen share here. We appreciate your time, and we appreciate all your help and all the good work that you're doing in the community. So thanks for this opportunity, and we look forward to connecting with hopefully many of you in the days that come.
Sounds great. Thanks, everyone. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.